Hello and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for May for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to have a one-to-one consultation with me, please see the link below and you can check out my testimonials. If you'd like to ascend above the Zodiac sign astrology and embrace a more serious understanding, you can do so in a very affordable way and check out my special offer for a 12-month forecast character analysis combination, 30% off based on your time, date and place of birth. No two reports are the same, and this will give you searing insights of the opportunities ahead for you and also a much greater understanding of what makes you tick. Hello Gemini and welcome to your monthly horoscope for May. This month begins with the Sun, your ruler Mercury, Venus, the planet of relating, and also Uranus, the planet of freedom, all clustered together in the most private part of your situation, the 12th house. The 12th house can be very gentle and very beguiling. This is a kind of Piscean influence. And the way this may be presenting itself to you in the early parts of this month is a need to just step back a little bit. You can be one of the most sociable and interactive of all the zodiac signs. But if you do find yourself wanting to keep others a little bit more at a distance, having some time to mull things over, this could be from your far distant past, it could be more recent events, it may be more psychological or emotional issues that you need to process. One of the things with you and Sagittarians is because you're so bright, both sides so vivacious and so interactive, sometimes you don't always give yourself permission to just pause and to let those emotions settle. And I think this is an opportunity to do that. You may also choose this moment right at the start of May to express how you feel to someone in a very candid way, and it may be something that you've kept very privately to yourself until now, or someone could surprise you with a revelation. But you know, I think if this happens, once it happens, it will be a relief that it's all out into the open. You could find yourself feeling a bit restless. Your nervous system could be a bit on edge. This could see you feeling a bit wound up or a little bit exhausted. It just depends on your unique situation and your unique natal horoscope. But there is the potential for growth that comes from this because Mercury, your ruler, is angling absolutely magically with Pluto, the planet of change, in the first 3 days. And a conversation you have, it may be with someone who does have profound insights. It may be some thinking you have where you can make some connections. It may be through reading a self-help manual or watching a video on YouTube that you get some kind of deeper understanding of a very private and personal matter. And that can actually be very uplifting. Also, from the 3rd to the 8th, Venus is forging a wonderful alliance with Pluto too. This suggests that if you are thinking about moving away from a relationship which isn't working, then this could be quite a painful change. But I also feel it can actually be very liberating. Liberation can often come at some kind of cost. Do you know, we can often think that if you just move on from something, it solves all the problems. Well, yes, it solves the physical challenge to us in the fact that someone may not be in our space, or we're not directly in the same room or house or the same business. But the emotions of the relationship are still percolating inside of us. So I think really Venus's angle to Pluto just suggests you could have some profound insights about a very close relationship, and you may be thinking carefully about what you want to do. And a separation is possible. I cannot deny this. But equally, the Sun is also going to forge a trine to Pluto in week 3. And that can be a time when you really start to see that the knowledge that you've gained in the earlier parts of the month can become really quite cemented in your consciousness in a very helpful way. And it's all of this energy is preparing you for when the sun moves into your sign this month on the 20th. But you do have support come in earlier than that, because Mercury, your ruler, arrives in Gemini on the 4th, Venus on the 9th. So those are two very helpful changes which will bring you more into the present. But I do feel that there is this psychological dimension that's very strong in the early parts of this month. Now, it is the case that there is a new moon in the sign of Taurus on the 11th, but it is linking in a very helpful way with Neptune. Neptune's been very uplifting to you since 2012 in terms of your work, but also potentially a complexity, because Neptune gives us a heightened understanding of the non-verbal and the non-spoken elements of life. So instinct, caring, compassion, spirituality, religion, where we can be most sacrificing and vulnerable in some ways. And in that sense, it's been very, very good for your career. Where it's perhaps been more challenging is it's potentially distorted the reality of what's substantial and what you can really trust and really rely upon, because obviously it's a misty kind of influence. It's a gassy planet, if you like. But this angle with Neptune says that you should salute the lessons of recent years, particularly last year when the cluster of influences were in Capricorn, forging a quincunx with your sun. And I certainly think around very close relationships, or even around your financial situation, there may have been some painful events. And this combination between the new moon and Neptune is just saying whatever you've drawn down, whatever you've learned, and however you've grown as an individual during that period of time, just honour it. Even if you don't feel the most outgoing that you can feel when this new moon occurs. But I wouldn't underestimate the charisma that Venus and Mercury give you in your sign, because obviously Mercury's in its dignity. Venus is very flirtatious in the sign of Gemini. My mum had Venus in Gemini, and she loved reading. You know, love is Venus, and Gemini is very much to do with words and communication. So if you do have a real interest in expressing yourself, or you want to write something, or you want to reach out to somewhere where you do have that profound link, this can be very helpful to you. And what can offset the steamy, misty influence of Neptune is the arrival on the 13th of Jupiter right at the top of your horoscope. So if your career has stalled a little bit or not been going quite at the pace you want, between now and the 2nd of July can see you skyrocket forward. So really look forward to progress in terms of your financial situation. It is true that Mercury goes into shadow on the 15th in your sign. That means it's slowing down, and the shadow is the point where the retrograde gets back to. I think it's 16 degrees in your sign, which is going to occur in June. The retrograde itself occurs on the 29th of this month, but just be aware that some individual hopes of yours, they're not going to stop, they just may kind of go at less of a pace than you would like. But having said that, there is a tremendous link between Mercury, your ruler, and Saturn from the 10th to the 15th. This precedes the shadow period, and if there is something you want to learn or alter or structure or express, you can do so in a very clear way. From the 17th to the 19th, Venus forges a terrific angle with Saturn. And if you do have some kind of contact with someone and you really like them, perhaps this relationship's going to stick around, and that can be very gratifying, particularly if there has been some kind of separation that's been manifested. Now, from the 18th to the 24th, there is a right angle between Jupiter and the Sun. Sun square Jupiter can make people very generous, very larger than life, sometimes promise more than they can realistically deliver. And the reason this is happening before the Sun moves into your sign on the 20th is because it's a dissociate square. Now, once it moves into your sign, we have the exact square of water in terms of Jupiter and the air element in terms of your sign. But they are edging into that square before then. So just be aware that, if you do have a professional opportunity, that you don't promise more than you can realistically deliver, because that sets up a big expectation and it puts massive pressure on you. However, the arrival of the sun into the sign of Gemini on the 20th is one that you're really going to appreciate, because if you have been feeling a bit withdrawn, less communicative, less sociable, less outgoing, a little quiet, perhaps there have been issues of trust or separation or vulnerability or pain or anxiety earlier in the month, you're going to move very much into the present. Your physical vitality will improve. There is, on the 23rd, the retrograde of Saturn begins. Contractual matters will need care over the next 5 months, or if you're looking to travel overseas, everything will need to be planned meticulously. And obviously with COVID, things change all the time. We're told we can do things, then we can't. So that's going to be reflected in the astrology. Now, on the 26th, there's a full moon in your opposite sign. Now, the Sun, and Mercury and Venus, all being in Gemini, along with the North Node, are encouraging you to be single-minded. And I think that full moon just reminds you to stay mindful of how other people view things. But on the 29th, Mercury does go into a retrograde fully, and that's when you can really expect some kind of slowdown, but it doesn't mean to say you can't still keep moving forwards. I really know that Mercury retrogrades can be mischievous. Anything to do with technical equipment like laptops, phones, even modes of transport, with Mercury being the governing planet of your sign of Gemini, those things could be prone to glitches, and there can be problems with booking things or ordering things online. All that kind of stuff will be normal territory. But just remember, retrograde can mean when we sort things out that aren't working. So if you do have, say, a piece of kit to do with your technical setup that's a bit out of date, you don't have enough protection on your computer, for example, or you have a phone that's not been updated. All these kind of things are things you can put right with Mercury retrograde. It can also be a time to look at your way of thinking about things as an individual. Is it time to refresh things? Have you been moving forwards, replicating some kind of belief system or way of being that was put into you when you were very young? Because this would be a fine time to update things. So see Mercury retrograde in the round. It does have some potential glitches and downsides for sure, but it also has some real opportunities. So this is a month of very big transition and a very delicate time earlier in the month, but a time when you can really explode into that joyous individuality, that quick-wittedness, the ability to think on your feet, to amuse people, to come up with brilliant ideas. It's all there for you, but you need to embrace the shadow side of your nature. I think that's what the month of May is saying to you in its infancy, Gemini. It's been a pleasure being with you. Take care, good luck, and goodbye.